any slaughter that happens, if it's under inspection, we're there every day. We have to check all the animals while they're alive, check for disease. If I have to take temperatures, I do that. And then I have to watch everyone be slaughtered. So I'm there to enforce like humane handling and things like that and check for consciousness. And once that's over, I have to watch them skin, do the whole process to make sure they're being clean, they're following their processes. And then I have to check all different systems. So I check the head. There's 4 sets of lymph nodes in the head that I have to cut open. I have to check eyes, tongue, everything for disease. And then I have to go through, like, the lungs have lymph nodes I have to cut into. The liver has lymph nodes I have to cut into. I have to cut into certain things. I have to cut into the heart. I have to check lymph nodes in the, like, small intestine. And
if this hasn't been on the show Dirty Jobs, it needs to be.
Right? It's so, when I tell people what I do, they're like, what?
You are now tuning in to the Roughnecks Podcast with your host, Cole Nixon. Much love.
Like I said, I don't have rules.
Okay.
If you want to cuss, you can cuss.
That's good.
It's very open-ended for me. I don't like to restrict. It just makes it not as fun.
Yeah.
This is actually my second podcast, and this first time I was like, no cussing. Like, we're going to keep it good. And then I was like, fuck this. I'm done.
That's how we were with ours. We were like, if we try to restrict anybody else, we're not going to be able to
exactly.
follow that. So.
Yeah. It's too much of a pain. But
yeah.
Sorry, trying to find that. Yeah. Going kind of, we're already rolling. I'm just going to go into it. But yeah, we were talking a little bit about, you were like, this is legit. And I was like, you should have seen how I started. Because how I started was in a dorm room with just my computer.
Okay.
No microphones, which
All
is,
right.
if you go all the way back to like the first, I think it was 3 episodes, it was just my computer.
So
no
this
video or anything.
Quite the upgrade then.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then I started doing a little bit of video because I only recorded virtually for the longest time.
Okay.
And then I moved in with her and was like, hey, I'm going to start inviting a bunch of random people that you've never met before over to the house.
No big deal.
Some of them I've never even met before. So we'll see how this goes.
Great.
And then eventually, because I used to record up in the living room, and then we got the dogs, and I was like, that's just going to be too much of a hassle. So I moved everything down here, and the basement's this is actually, I think you're the first person on the new setup.
Ooh.
Because this
fancy.
Table used to be over there, and then I
Okay.
did a bunch of stuff over there. We moved couches and everything, and so now we're
Nice.
back up here. But yeah, so Mariah,
Yeah.
welcome to the Roughnecks Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This is
Yeah.
exciting.
So just to kind of kick off the episode, even though we've kind of already kicked it off, I like to allow the guests to kind of give a background on themselves. So just kind of tell everybody who you are and what you do. Because you got a lot of different things.
I feel like that's loaded. It's always hard for me to kind of choose which path I want to take it down. But I'm Mariah Cherubini. I live in Newark. I'm kind of from the Utica area. I haven't really been around too much other places. I mean, I've been to Columbus. I lived in Canal, Winchester, but now I'm back. Grew up on a farm. Did a whole lot of farming things. And then now I don't do any of that, but I'm still kind of connected to agriculture. I work for the Department of Agriculture. I'm a meat inspector with them, which kind of led me into my side business, which is the skull shop. So have that going on right now. And then I got into CrossFit, which led me to coaching, which led me to also doing a podcast with the CrossFit gym owner. So there's a little bit of everything going on right now.
You wander around on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's not your typical, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's not like super abnormal. It's not like anything crazy, but it's
Right.
you're kind of you have your foot in a lot of different places.
I do. And sometimes people say like you shouldn't, have so many hats that you're wearing at the same time because you might only be able to give a certain percentage and not full effort. But I want my resume to be full. Like
That's kind of how I am. I mean, I have a side business of photography and videography, website management and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Plus, during the day, I install pools and patios.
Okay.
And then, I mean, that's kind of really all I do. I mean, then the podcast, obviously. But
everything's so different though. Like
it's definitely got its all different. And it's fun though, because you never know what you're going to get into that day.
Yep. That's how I feel.
But I kind of want to start with the skull shop.
Yeah.
And just kind of, first off, explain what it is and how it all started.
It's definitely the most abnormal thing that I do, for sure. So I've always been really big into like Western decor. Like that's kind of how, when we had our farm, our barn had a bar built into it.
Oh,
and my
okay.
dad had a friend that made furniture, like tables, chandeliers with deer antlers. And we had skulls out there, like beef skulls. And
Yeah.
so I've always been kind of around that sort of home decoration, I
Yeah.
guess. And then when I started working for the Department of Ag, they would have these beautiful, like cows come in with nice horns and they just throw them away because nobody uses them.
Huh.
Yeah. So
I'm surprised because,
yeah.
like I feel like, I mean, me personally, I mean, I got one from Hobby Lobby, but I was going to talk to you. I need to get like a legit one.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to work on that.
Yeah.
It's crazy though. Like it seems like such a waste. And I'm also in all the different things that I do, I like to make money. So
Yeah.
I see this opportunity. And I also was big into art and things like that. So
Okay.
it kind of just made sense. Like I could take this thing that somebody's throwing away, which sounds like somebody that goes through your trash, for treasures. But I can take this and I can clean it up and I can make it pretty and I can sell it. Or I can keep it and hang it in my own house. So
Yeah.
because I like that stuff too. So it all kind of worked out. When I first started though, it's kind of like the podcast deal. Like my first setup, oh my gosh. When I first moved back to Newark, I lived off of 21st Street. And I had this sweet neighbor. You might know her. You went to Valley, right?
No, I went to Watkins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
How
Sierra
did
went
I-
to Valley.
That's right.
But I did not.
You'll have to ask her if she knows Mrs. Mailer.
Probably.
She probably does. She was the sweetest old lady, and she was my neighbor. So I get this pot, and I bring it home, and I have this little propane burner. And I had this beef head that I had brought home, and I cook it in this pot. I heat it. Now I have a whole different process, but still the same general concept. And it was out there for like 2 weeks. And
Oh,
it was the middle of
nice.
summer. Yeah.
Oh,
And she'd
yeah.
come over and be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it, Kathy. Like, it's fine." So that one took me a long time. But now I've kind of learned a lot and talked to a lot of people along the way. So I get all kinds of stuff. People find dead animals and bring them to me.
All right. That's interesting.
Yep. But it's a whole thing. I have 4 different pots that I set up in my driveway. I have a process where I take a head. I usually get it with the hide on and everything still.
Okay.
So I skin it.
Do you do anything with the hide usually, or is it
Not
just-
usually.
I guess there's not really much you can do with
Yeah,
them.
if I knew how to tan hides, which is
That's a whole nother
I would love
process.
to, but my neighbors are already complaining, so I probably need to wait till I'm at a different location. But I have some scraps of hides that I want to like incorporate into the skulls
Yeah.
afterwards. But yeah, so I bone them out. I take eyeballs out. I do the whole process, and then I boil them in just like soap and water for several days. And then it gets real gross. And
Yeah.
I take them out, I power wash them, and then I have this whole process with peroxide and water. So I
Okay.
whiten them and usually coat them with something just to seal the bone pores. And yeah, then they go out pretty.
What do
So-
you do mostly? Like, do you mostly do the cow heads, or do you kind of? I know you do European mounts as well.
Yeah, that blew up this year.
It's a big thing. I mean, like, I have like I got mine here, and my thing is like if I shoot anything bigger than that, then I'll mount it like
Yeah.
a shoulder mount. If
Yeah.
I shoot anything smaller, I'll probably just either get the antlers or do a Euro mount.
Yep. And I did not think I was going to have as many this past deer season as I did. In total numbers, probably my number one right now.
Yeah.
I ended up with 80 this past deer season. So
Wow.
it was brutal. And it's hard to continuously do things when you need water, when it's 10 degrees outside.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'd come home and I'd have to boil my pots heat them just to get the water unfrozen.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to go coach. So I'd come back and I had to start the process over. So, but I do a lot of beef skulls. They're kind of hard to come by though. Ones with decent horns that are
Yeah.
worth the time. I do a lot of goats. So they've got just either short horns or like I get some of the rams with the curled
Yeah.
horns. So
What's the most unique thing you've done? Like, or unique, different, crazy, like something you probably wouldn't have expected somebody to bring to you? Because you said you have people bring you dead animals.
yeah. I just finished a chicken head. So
Is that harder or
Yes.
easier
it's so
with
much
the smaller?
harder. Yeah.
I
I've done 2 turkeys and this chicken now, and a little robin, and something else. They are so time consuming because they're so fragile. I can't heat them at all. And yeah, it stresses me out, but it's satisfying afterwards.
Yeah, once you actually get the final product, but it is a pain in the ass to get to
tiny,
it.
tiny bones.
Yeah.
My favorite ones are probably coyotes.
I could see that. Yeah.
Their teeth are just so pretty.
Yeah. What all animals have you done all around? Because obviously, beef and deer and, like you said, goats now and chickens and robins.
I've done some hogs, especially some of the cooney pigs.
Yeah.
So they have the big tusks, and I've done one wild boar. They're just so greasy. Mm-hmm. It takes so long to do them, which sounds disgusting. I've done a lot of raccoons. So those are cute. They've got big old eye sockets and pretty teeth. So it sounds crazy when I talk about it out loud, but yeah, it's a good mix of things.
It's a good conversation starter.
Right, yeah. Either that or a meat inspector, and it's just people are like, oh, wow, really? Tell me.
So, like, what does that involve?
Oh, people don't really expect it. So I work for the State Department. There's federal too.
Okay.
So we're one of, I think, 11 or 13 states that actually have a state meat inspection program. So we follow all of the directives set by the federal department. So we follow all the USDA regulations and we enforce those. But any slaughter that happens, if it's under inspection, we're there every day. We have to check all the animals while they're alive, check for disease. If I have to take temperatures, I do that. And then I have to watch everyone be slaughtered. So I'm there to enforce like humane handling and things like that and check for consciousness. And once that's over, I have to watch them skin, do the whole process to make sure they're being clean, they're following their processes. And then I have to check all different systems. So I check the head. There's 4 sets of lymph nodes in the head that I have to cut open. I have to check eyes, tongue, everything for disease. And then I have to go through, like, the lungs have lymph nodes I have to cut into. The liver has lymph nodes I have to cut into. I have to cut into certain things. I have to cut into the heart. I have to check lymph nodes in the, like, small intestine. And
if this hasn't been on the show Dirty Jobs, it needs to be.
Right? It's so, when I tell people what I do, they're like, what? And then other days, so that's the whole like kill process. I have to watch from start to finish every single animal. Other days, I'm in places that make like daycare lunches. So we cover all ends of the spectrum. So with those types of days, I have to check temperatures and make sure that, they're keeping correct records and they're labeling things correctly and all kinds of food safety things. So it's a little all over the place.
Yeah. How often is it that you get one with a disease when you go to like the slaughters? Like, is it a common thing or not really?
Not so much. Most of the places that we go, especially in my district of Ohio, are smaller volume establishments. It kind of depends. If it's like a halal slaughter that we're covering, they might kill 100 goats in a day. And when you have that number, you're bound to have, some sort of parasites or some sort of respiratory disease that you might find. And if we find something, we have to call a state veterinarian and we have to have them come look at it. And if we find a bruise on a shoulder and we're like, oh, that looks like it could be an injection site. If this animal was sick when we saw it alive, maybe somebody tried to treat it.
Yeah.
So then we have tests we do to test for antibiotics and all kinds of stuff. So it's very thorough.
So I've heard, like, I mean, we've started actually getting it, like, our meat, like, we'll buy half a cow because it's way better, and for the price, it's really worth it.
Yep.
So I've heard, like, sometimes you might find, like, a blue or a red, almost, like, it looks like in the meat. I was told that it's a stamp, like, once it gets, is that what it is?
Yep. So our inspection stamp goes on every carcass.
Okay.
They're supposed to trim it off.
Which I've only found it actually one time in my life, and
okay,
like
good.
it was like one, and it was like the tiniest little bit in the ground beef. Like it wasn't even enough to like.
It is edible ink.
I've heard it's like sometimes it's beet juice, like it's made out of beets or something. I don't
can't
know.
even remember what they put in it now, but
I've heard it doesn't hurt you.
yeah, yep. They have to stamp every single carcass that we look at, so that's why they pay to have us there. So that's an important thing.
Yeah,
but
because I've always been curious, and like when I was cooking ground beef one night, Sierra's like, "What is that?" And I was like. The funny thing is, me and my boss just had this conversation today about what, like, finding it, and it was, like, so random, but I was like, it's edible, and she's like, are you sure? And by the time I cooked it, she looked at it, she's like, oh, you can't even see it anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Yep,
like, you don't have to worry about it. But, yeah. So what did you have, like, what were the challenges when you first started with the skull shop? Was there anything like that you didn't expect that kind of threw, especially, I mean, it's a business. So you have business challenges and just like in general challenges of learning everything.
That was the biggest thing, was trying to learn a process that was efficient, because I was wasting so much time. Just, I'd pull it out every 20 minutes, like, what's happening with it now? And
it's like cooking. If you're looking, you're not cooking.
Yep. It took me a while to get into a rhythm of things and how long I should leave something in. And, am I buying the correct things, or am I wasting my money on supplies? And so I've kind of narrowed it down now. Now the biggest challenge is, I guess, my location. I'm right on the edge of a soccer field. So I'm on a dead-end street, like right behind Kroger, on the soccer field. When I was really busy about a month ago, people cut through my yard all the time. They park in front of my house, like when soccer's crazy. And I had people walk through my yard, and they called the city and said that my yard was full of blood and guts. One, I'm a meat inspector. That's not allowed. So not going to have that. But, I get when I power wash things, like things can, and I dump my pots out in the corner of my yard, but nothing goes past the line. So now I'm dealing with some zoning issues.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're working past that.
There's always that one person that just has to ruin the day.
Yep. So figuring that out, and that was tough because at first, they got a lot of people involved in it, and I'm like, wait, great, I'm just not going to have a business anymore. But trying to find a different location to do that has been hard. But I've figured it out. I don't know how it'll go with deer season, but we'll see.
Yeah. Deer season it always picks up. Is it a bigger influx during like gun season versus bow season?
Yes. I need to probably coordinate with my actual job and maybe take some time off during gun week, because I probably got 40 during that 1 week. And then I told everybody beforehand, like, hey, it's like a 2-week turnaround time. And then I was like, oh my God, it's been 3 months. Like, please have patience.
Yeah.
But everybody was really cool about it.
Like, that took like 6 months, because he ended up calling me and was like, dude, I got like 6 more right after you left. Like, I got 6 more calls. And I'm like, I get it. I really don't need it back like ASAP. But
and everybody's been really cool about that. They're like, oh, well, we didn't expect it to be that fast in the first place. I'm like, oh.
What is it? What I was going to ask, what is your, like, if you could get it, start right away, and you like don't have any issues, what's your typical turnaround time? Usually,
if it's something like a deer, usually a week.
Okay.
So I don't like to run them too fast or too hot, because I don't want to weaken the bones. But if it's a beef, usually 2 weeks, just because I want to make sure, since they're bigger, that I really soak out all the grease so that skull doesn't yellow when somebody takes it home and things like that. So
yeah, my buddy does some of his own, and he just mess it. Like, he'll find deadheads in the woods, and he'll take them and like just he'll do it. And I've actually seen a few people bury them. Yeah,
I had one come to me this year that had been buried, and it does a good job. It takes a while.
Yeah.
But I found that when I try to whiten them after they've been buried, there's a lot of staining involved, so they don't turn out as pearly white as the other ones, which is frustrating for me because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah, you want everything to be perfect. It's hard to, like, especially, you're posting pictures and it's like, well, why is mine not as white as that one, and stuff like that.
And I always get nervous, like, when somebody takes theirs home, if they take a picture and they tag me in it, is it going to be the right lighting? Is it going to look as good as how I set it up? And
I get that.
I only had one that I really, really was not happy with this deer season, and it was like a smaller one, so it wasn't as sturdy, and the turbinates in the nose came out, and like the nose bone stayed on, but stuff like that, it just eats me up.
Yeah.
And I was so stressed. I was like, you know what? You don't even have to pay me. Yeah.
So what is, like, if you could pick one thing that you really want to do that you haven't done yet, what would it be?
Ooh, I want to do a bear.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I had a couple people that have been out on hunts in like Maine and things. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, if we get one, we'll let you do it. I'm like, okay, please do, because I've seen them I'm on a bunch of weird Facebook groups because of this. So I've seen a lot of people do that. And then I want to do a full body snake just because all of the bones stay together.
Huh.
And I had one. My dogs killed this decent-sized garter snake in the yard last year, and I'm like, perfect. So I kind of buried it, but not super far underground. I just buried it in the mulch in the flower bed. I'm like, I'm just going to let it sit out there for a couple weeks. And I checked on it once, and I'm like, oh, it's, progressing nicely. And I came back a week later, and something had snapped it in half and eaten the head. I'm like, all this time. Yeah, so those are probably my top two.
What was the most that you had at one time, and what was that challenge like of taking on that many? Because I'm assuming it was deer season.
It was deer season. I think I had close to 50 in my garage.
So are they frozen, or like are they fine just to be room temp? I've never really thought, because I know like with that, when I went to do the shoulder mount, I had to make sure I froze it.
Yep. With me, it honestly makes it easier if people don't. Because when it gets into the late season, they're gonna freeze in my garage sitting overnight.
Yeah,
anyways.
exactly.
But for me to skin them, it's so much easier if they haven't been in a freezer.
Okay.
One, because my fingers get so cold, and they're just tough. They're tough to skin if they're like that. So it was a lot to try to keep things organized and keep tags on which ones and. Which one am I going to skin today? How long has this one been sitting? Is it thawed out enough for me to work with? And what do I have in the pots? Because I have my big one, it can fit like 6 deer at a time. So I'm like, well, what did I put in there first? What do I need to take out first? And what's the process of if I need to recolor, restain any antlers, and trying to just keep all of that in line while it was dark outside all the time.
Yeah.
And I can't see things the way I want to see them. And I'm still trying to coach and go to work and all this stuff. It was overwhelming.
That's the other thing. So you got the CrossFit side of things too, which we'll kind of move into. First off, how did the coaching start? When did CrossFit for you start? And like, why kind of CrossFit versus there's a lot of different things out there, but CrossFit is a big community thing. So kind of just how did that start, and then how did it lead in the training?
I was super against community things. My parents actually, they were the ones that did CrossFit. So they would go to classes together. My dad was super against it for a while because it was my mom's thing, and God forbid he do something that she's into. But so they were doing it, and they kept saying, you need to try it. You're going to like it. You used to like high school sports. You're competitive. You're going to like it. And I kept saying, I'm not in shape enough for that. I'm going to go to this big group thing, and people are going to look at me, and I'm going to be embarrassed, and I'm not going to be able to do the things that even you guys are doing, which makes me feel even more shitty.
Yeah.
So why do I want to sign up for that? And I ended up going through a divorce in 2020. Well, like January separation. Okay. So divorce was in May. So that first weekend in January, I decided to leave my house. I took my dogs and I went to my parents' house for the weekend. And we're sitting in the garage, we're smoking cigars, and my dad goes, well, I already filled out the beginner info for the gym, so you're coming to CrossFit with us next week. Didn't give me a choice, which is very much like my dad. And so I thought, well, hell, everything else is falling apart. Why not go try it? I've been putting them off for so long, and they're helping me out now, so I might as well go try it. And I did, and the first week was awful. They had like a beginner class, and I'm trying to learn all this stuff, and I couldn't even do a burpee. Laying down on the ground and trying to stand up again was so hard. I was just so unhealthy, and I did the first week. They had a graduation for the people that were in the intro class. And I had so many family members come. My cousins came. My grandma was there. My mom and dad were both there. And everybody was just super proud of me not being able to get off the ground, but trying to get off the ground. And I thought, wow, that's a cool feeling to have like my family there and support me. And they all did it at the time. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll stick this out, give it a try. And now it's led into, now I'm at a different gym than when I started, but everybody in my life now comes from the gym. I mean,
Yeah.
all the friendships I have, because I
I
didn't.
mean, heck, your guys' volleyball team
Right.
is pretty much all.
Yeah.
We always called you guys the CrossFit team.
Yep.
We knew you guys as the CrossFit team.
Yeah, and it's crazy because 3 years ago I didn't know any of those people,
Yeah.
and now they're my best friends. And it's led to the coaching, it's led to the social media stuff I do for them, it's led to the podcast, it's led to all these different doors opening. And if I wouldn't have just gone with my parents 5 years ago, I wouldn't have
You're
any
right.
of that, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's what's crazy too. I mean, it's kind of almost like somewhat of the Goggins mentality type of things, but it goes back to him. I read his first book, and it talked about when he finally got up off the couch and started, and he's like, I wish I could tell you that day it all changed, but it didn't.
Nope.
Like you said, that first week sucked.
Yeah, that whole first year is hard. You're learning new things. You're
Yeah.
trying to change your schedule around, and you feel like shit all the time because
Right.
you're sore, and you get good at something, then you're like, okay, let's move to the next progression. I'm like, there's more? Like,
Or let's add more weight.
yeah,
Yeah.
things don't get easier. You just get better, and you go to the next skill.
Right.
So, but it's definitely changed my whole life, and it's been really cool to see the progression with that.
So you do a lot within that gym.
Yeah.
Because you coach, correct?
Yes.
And you said you did social media as well.
Yeah, I
You guys
just
got the
started
podcast.
winging a whole bunch of stuff. I had no background in any of that, and I had talked to Josh, my boyfriend, about wanting to coach, because I used to say all the time, like, I hate people, like I hate the community
Right.
events, things like that. And then I finally quit lying to myself. I'm like, I don't dislike that stuff. I like to be in charge of that stuff. So
Okay.
I like to lead people. I like to be the one that people come to, and why not try coaching?
Exactly.
Because I had to go through not being able to get up off the floor. I had to go through all the scaled movements and all the scaled weights and all these different things. So I know
You've
all
been
the
in their
progressions.
shoes.
Yeah. So I felt like I was a good resource for people.
Yeah.
And I had said that to him, but I was too nervous to say it to Jason, who owns the gym. And I don't know why. And Josh brought it up to him one day, and he's like, why wouldn't you fucking tell me that? Like, he was so mad. So he actually offered to pay for half of my course to get my level 1 training certificate.
Okay.
So I went for a weekend. It was terrifying again. It's just a whole bunch of scary things that I just keep jumping into. But you had to go. It was a group of like 30 people, and you have to do movements in front of these instructors, and you have to lead a class, and you have to take a test, and you have to know all these different things. And it was a lot, and it was intimidating, but I was glad I did it. And now I coach 3 or 4 nights a week usually. And it's probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done. So
what's your free time look like?
yeah. When I find out, I'll let you know.
Oh, I get it. I understand.
Yep.
It seems like there is no such thing as free time.
Yeah.
And like especially once you get to this age, it's like you just want to be doing a bunch of different
Yeah.
things. You want to try this hobby. You want to try that hobby.
Yep.
Like me and Sierra for a while, it was pickleball. Then it was Frisbee golf. And then all of a sudden we were like, we need to quit volleyball 3 nights a week. And we're like,
Yep.
all right, we need to cut at least back to 2.
Yeah, that's how I am. I was 2 nights last year, and I was like, I cannot function and do it anymore.
I almost
So-
didn't do 2 this year, but I was like, I'll give it one more
Yeah.
year of it. And then with the business starting to pick up, I want to be better about the podcast because I've been terrible about getting episodes out. But I've been working on that. And so it's like trying to balance time. How is your time management? Like how much, I'm assuming you've learned a lot about time management.
I have, yeah.
So what does your time management look like? Or do you have like, non-negotiable type things? Like kind of how do you set up your days to where you can manage everything? Which there is no such thing as time management.
It's overwhelming. I tell everybody that my days are scheduled by the minute, because I had to meet my grandma today to put air in her tire. And I was like, you have a 3-minute window. On my way home, I will text you when I leave, and I will text you when I will be there. Be there then. I kind of, while I'm at my regular job, I'm thinking about all the things I could be doing, all the things I need to do when I get home. So I try to plan out the rest of the day. And then I know I'm going to be at the gym either to work out or coach. And if I work out first, I coach after. If I coach first, I work out after. So I know that's a 2-hour block I'm going to have. If I have extra time, I like to go in and I do the pictures now for the gym. And so I had to learn how to be a photographer on the fly.
Oh, it's
and
fun.
That's, oh my God, my first pictures of people in the gym, I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible. Like,
Oh, I look back at some of my pictures because I finally actually I got a course, started taking it, and like kind of truly learning how the camera works
Yeah.
because I saw a thing on Facebook one day, and it's not like, oh, this is like the 100% truth, but it said everybody's a photographer until, and it has it on the manual mode, and it's like, oh crap, that's me. I don't know how that works at all. Now
Right.
I've started, like, Sierra actually gave me a lot of crap because she's like, you're like an old man. I'll sit out on the patio or out on the porch, and I will take pictures of birds. And she's
love
like,
that.
but I'm like, I'm learning, trying to figure out how the
Right.
hell these settings
what
work,
all these
because
buttons mean. And yep.
but it is a lot of, it's challenging to
Yeah.
do everybody thinks photography and stuff is easy, and then you go into the editing side of things, and
Right.
it's a whole different world. Like
Yep.
somebody asked me one time, like, when are you going to get into weddings? I was like, never.
I could never deal with that pressure.
No, I said, listen, because I love sports. That's
Yeah.
my thing that I like to shoot. And I'm like, if I miss something at a sporting event, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You miss something at the wedding, you're fucked.
Yep. You cannot recreate
No.
that.
Like,
Yeah, it's been quite and I'm still very surface level. Like I haven't dove into that world hardly at all. But
that not everybody needs to. That's
right.
the thing.
Yeah.
Like
this is enough for Instagram for the gym,
It's,
and
it's
that's
not like
fine.
you're trying to take like professional pictures.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you're not going to yeah. That's what I sometimes have to calm myself down. It's like, hey, dude, you don't have to go super extreme. Like you're not that level yet.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand that. And with that, plus now the podcast stuff, any free time that I have right now is kind of doing those things. So it's hard. Jason's so busy too. So
Yeah.
when we get an hour to nail down on a weekend, record the podcast, I know I'm going to go home, and one of the 2 days in the weekend, I'm going to lay in my sauna blanket at home. And that is my time to edit the podcast. And I'm going to edit pictures for the week. And I'm going to add all the pictures to the app for the gym. And, I have to schedule out gym posts and, time them out so they can be released on this day. And
That's the biggest thing. So I work for a few organizations where I run their social media, and that is the biggest thing that I've learned.
yeah.
Especially if you're able to schedule the whole
Yep.
month.
Yep.
And just like I did it last month with the softball organization, on like the end of last or 2 months ago, I sat down, made all the graphics that I needed to, scheduled
Yep.
all of them on Facebook and Instagram, and then was like, cool.
Right.
I don't have to do anything the rest of the
it's such
month.
a good feeling. And then it's so funny, like with the podcast, I've started scheduling through YouTube and Spotify, and then I'll get the notifications like, oh, this episode came out.
Yep.
I'm like, hey, that's my episode.
Yep.
That's fun. Look
Which
at
I was
me
going to
go.
tell you, you need to get yourself on Apple. I'm just
I
saying.
know, I do. See, it's hard for me because I'm an Android person, so I don't know how that world works. So I need to.
It's fair. But
do
I will
some-
say, like, I could show you some of my stuff. Like, over 60% of the listens come from Apple.
Really?
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I still
definitely need
get
to.
some. I mean, I personally like Spotify. Like, when I'm down here in the basement, if
Yeah.
I'm in my, like, truck at work or I'm driving,
Yeah.
like, I listen to it on Apple.
Okay.
But when I'm down here, like, I like to throw the video on. So, like,
Yeah.
I'll throw it up on Spotify, probably before YouTube even. But I like being able to see it if I'm able to. I like video podcasts.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially certain ones, like
Right.
comedy podcasts. Those
Yeah.
ones I have to watch. Rogan I like to watch depending
Yeah.
on who's on.
Yep.
So stuff like that. But yeah, the podcast is that's a whole journey.
Oh man, we first like had this idea, and he was like, "Well, we talk to each other and we're funny, so we should have a podcast." I'm like, "Ooh, there's a lot that goes into it."
Yes.
So I had a meeting with somebody just to kind of talk about like baseline, what I need, apps, equipment, very surface level stuff. And then trying to get all that hooked up and just winging it with YouTube tutorials and
All this stuff that I have going on was a lot of trial and error. Like when I first got it, I remember coming down here and I'd like hook it all up and I'd be like, all right, test. Oh crap, I can't hear anything. So like I was going through the whole process, and I actually went to Florida for a bachelor trip, and he was like, let's record a podcast. So I took all my stuff.
Nice.
And I'm setting it up, and they're sitting there like, you need help with anything? I'm like, honestly, you'll just get in the way. So just step back, because I had to set up 4 microphones. Like I had to set up everything, and they're just like, how do you know where everything goes? I was like, oh, it took me a long time to figure out where it all goes, because the technology side of things.
Yeah.
Like just recording, that's the easy part.
Right. Yep. That part is so easy. And it's we just did episode 17. So it's still like baby stages, and it's probably not, it's a podcast about nothing. Like we literally just bullshit with each other. But looking at my first 3, there's like an aura over the camera. Like we had a black sheet behind us. The sound was terrible. And I'm like, wow, we've come a long way in 14 episodes.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is you start to see the progress. And there was for a while, you know, I was kind of getting down about the podcast to the point where I was about to be done with it because, I mean, I don't make money off of it.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily my goal. Like, would it be nice? Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
But that's not my goal. I just enjoy talking to people.
Yeah,
and I get,
getting to
I mean, the
engage
connections that I've got, similar like what you've talked about.
Yep.
When one thing leads to another with
Yeah.
this podcast. And, but I don't even remember where I was going with that conversation. Holy crap.
Story of my life.
I just completely forgot where. Oh, I was getting down about it. There we go. Train of thought came back. And then one day I like pulled up my yearly or like my stats of all time. And I like looked at my overall listens and it like slowly actually gained. And I was like,
That's
oh,
cool.
okay.
To see like
it is
concrete
actually growing.
results.
It didn't
Yeah.
feel like it was growing, but it is
Right.
actually growing a little bit.
That's a cool feeling.
And I mean, the volleyball tournament makes it all worth it.
Yeah,
So
that's
which-
exciting.
July 26th.
Yep, I was interested. I already talked to the team, so we should be good.
Yeah, I'll tell you something after. I don't want to put it out there for everybody else. But yeah, we got a lot of cool things that we're
exciting.
going on with it this year. So, I mean, nothing too crazy different than what we did last year, but just a little bit. Sponsors are a little bit different just to help. And we're donating all of the profits to a nonprofit organization.
Awesome.
So I was like, it's way easier to get people to give money when it's like, hey, it's going towards this.
Yep. Absolutely.
But I kind of wanted to ask kind of about the training side of things because I always like to ask like coaches. I've had a lot of coaches, whether it's, you know, all over different sports. With different people comes different types of coaching.
Yeah.
How hard is that to gauge and how do you handle it? Like, I mean, you know, you have people that you can jump their ass.
Right.
And then you have people, if you do that, they're going to get shut down,
Yep.
which I get. Everybody's different in
Yes.
that aspect.
I literally just had that conversation with an athlete last week because I was watching her in class and somebody was getting screamed at. And just from that, you could just see her shut down.
Okay.
Not screamed at in a negative way.
Like
they were
pushed.
Yes.
They were getting pushed.
So I like to ask people when I first have them in classes, what motivates you, what's going to work for
Okay.
you, and what style do you like? I mean, I'm all about whatever's going to make you feel good. And I don't want to sugarcoat things. I don't want to baby people, but some people are more sensitive than others. And we have a lot of members right now, actually, from the Whole Living Recovery program.
Okay.
So a lot of them are recovering addicts.
Yeah.
And they like to handle things a lot differently. And depending on where they are in their recovery, too, I've had this conversation with most of them that have come in. And so that's a whole different ball game of, you know, what works for you, what doesn't, and what's going to make you get to that point where you don't want to do anything anymore. So I think one of my talents, pat myself on the back, is being able to read a room. And I hope everybody agrees with that, just because I like to really find out how they're doing on a personal level before we even go into a class. Like, you know, we all check on each athlete before we start, you know, how you feeling today? Is there anything hurting? Is there anything we need to avoid? But I like to ask, like, how was your day? You know, how'd you sleep? All these different things that go into, if I have a shit day and I'm running on 3 hours of sleep, my triggers are going to be different than what a normal day is going to be like. So it's been a fun process because I really had to step out of my comfort zone to get to that point. And just be a people person, which was not one of my top priorities before. So
I never used to be a people person either. But it's you seem to step out of your comfort zone a lot.
it's
Have you always been that way?
No. Well, I
To a
say
degree.
no, but yeah, it's definitely increased in the past like 5 years. I like to do different things when I was younger. I like to do different sports. I like to do, you know, the livestock showing side of it. I like to do the things that I was good at. And so now I'm trying to branch out more, and I might not be good at something, but I at least want to try to not have regrets about not trying it. And I preach to people that you don't grow in your comfort zone.
You don't.
So
Nope.
I'm like, well, I can't just keep harping on people about that and then not take my own advice.
Yeah.
But it's exhausting sometimes.
Oh, I
your
believe
nervous
it.
system does not want to do that. And it's been rewarding though.
Yeah, I mean, with all the hats you wear now, it's definitely got to be rewarding.
Yeah.
And you're still doing it. So obviously
Yeah.
you find enjoyment out of the things, even if it's like, hey, like I'm not making a ton of money here, but I enjoy it and I'm, you know, I'm making a little money. So it's kind of worth it.
Yeah, it at least pays a little. So
Yeah. And that's actually kind of talking money, not to be weird about it, but like what does a typical, you know, mount cost?
Well, here's my problem. I severely undercharge.
Oh, I get it. I'm the same exact way.
And all I've heard for the past year is you need to charge more. You don't charge enough for what you do. Okay, I understand that, but I'm also in the beginning stages. So I want to build a client base. I want people to return to me. Like, I don't want to put something out there because I'm still learning a perfect process, and it's never going to be perfect, but a perfect process too. So if I'm not going to be happy with the amount I did last year, this coming year, because I've changed so much, well, I don't want to charge a huge price for that if I'm not 100% sure that's what I'm going to stick with.
Right.
And so this deer season, I charged 75 for a euro. So if, I don't know, I might go up towards 100 this year because the average is like 130. For a euro now. So I know that I undercharge, but it's really, if I can get a lot done in a short amount of time, I'm putting my time into it, which is valuable, but then my supplies aren't that much.
Yeah.
So I also don't feel comfortable charging somebody an arm and a leg if I'm really not using that much.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. It's so hard to come up with prices because
Yeah.
you're like, I don't want to be that guy that the people are like, oh my God, that
Yep.
much? But you're also like, I don't want to do it for nothing either.
Right, because I do put so much time,
Yeah.
and I'm so like invested in it that I want it to be worth it. But if it's like a beef skull that has really nice horns that I really have to take time on, it's close to 200.
Okay.
Which still is not
Yeah,
anything
but
crazy.
yeah. I mean, the big thing I personally started doing is I actually time track everything when I'm working on my business.
I need to do that.
So
this
I
year.
made a spreadsheet. Now it's easier for me because when I'm working, I'm sitting on my computer
Yeah.
and I have 3 monitors. So like my
Yeah.
one monitor just has that up and I start something. I type it in real quick, my start time, my end time. Then I'm sure there's apps and stuff out there for
Right.
it, but I'm a spreadsheet kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then like, at the end of the month, I'll kind of look and be like, all right, this video's taking me this long. Like it's kind of nice to have a general idea
Right.
of it. Well, now I'm also bad about, there's times where I'm like, oh, I completely forgot to put that I edited 3 videos and I have no idea how much time
Yep.
it took me. But it's the pricing side of things is the hardest thing, but kind of one of the things that I like that you said, you want to build that clientele up.
Yeah.
When you build enough relationship with those people, a lot of times what will happen is when you do tell them, hey, I'm raising my prices, they're going, okay,
Right.
that's
yeah.
fine. Like
Yep.
it doesn't bother
Yep.
us. And you might lose a couple,
Right.
but at
What
the end
you
of the day,
gain.
if they don't see that's what it's worth, all right, go somewhere else.
Right.
And you're probably going to end up spending more anyway.
Yep.
So
Yep. It's funny this year. I've heard a lot of people say, well, that's a great price. And I was going to do it myself, but I just didn't have the time. I'm like, well, hey, bring it all to me.
Yeah.
If you want to.
that's the big thing. A lot of people, they just don't even want to deal with
Yep.
it. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are willing to pay whatever
Yeah.
because, I mean, I'm never going to do a shoulder mount. I can tell you that.
I had so many people ask me this year, do you do shoulder mounts? I'm like, dude, I am in my garage in the suburbs. Like, no. I
Yeah.
would love to, but no, not happening.
That's a whole nother artistry
Oh, yeah.
that, I mean.
I want to start like actual taxidermy, but I'm going to have to start on like squirrels, not actual.
But is it going to be the same thing that a squirrel's smaller, so would it be harder?
Probably, but you got to follow some of these taxidermy pages, I'm telling
I
you.
might follow a couple, but it is like sometimes they're like, I'm like, ugh,
Yeah.
okay, that's
sometimes
a
things
bit
are creepy,
extreme.
but-
Like I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. I am excited this year, though. I got a spot at Swappers Day.
Oh, okay.
So I'm excited for like an actual like 3-day event. I haven't really been to vendor fairs before,
Yeah.
but like I'm trying to build up my inventory right now. So my garage is insane with the things that I've done. And I'm trying to load it all up now and pack it away. But I'm excited for that. So I can probably actually charge what things are worth
Yeah.
for people that are coming up to my booth. I'm not doing it for personal
Exactly.
reasons. So
Yeah, I've never. That'd be weird for me. I don't know, to be at a to be a vendor, because like I always see it backwards. We were talking a little bit before.
Yeah.
Like you're just kind of standing there, and you're just like,
yeah.
people come up, and then you're like, do I go talk to them now?
Right.
Do I let them look around a little bit? All right, they left. Okay, never mind.
Yep.
Didn't go talk to. Like I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm gonna handle it. But I'm hoping it really was pretty cheap for a spot for the whole 3
Really?
days. So I'm hoping I'm not there the whole 3 days and that I sell out. But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. So I'm excited. I'm gonna have some more T-shirts because I sold out of T-shirts in like a day, which was awesome.
Yes.
But gonna have that. I think I'm gonna bring going to bring the chicken. I'm going to bring some raccoons. I'm going to bring the beef. I have like probably 15 of those I'm bringing.
Okay.
I have like close to 20 goats that I'm bringing. So, and one of my big sellers that I had on Etsy, I haven't even had time to update my Etsy shop recently, but the biggest seller I've had are these little apothecary jars full of teeth.
Huh.
So,
Okay. What
Yep.
where do you put those?
Yep.
Like just
I
let
don't
me
know.
just put it right
Yep.
here as a decoration. I don't know.
I don't ask questions.
What all is that? I don't know. It's just a bunch of teeth.
Yep.
Human,
Human, goat, deer, who knows? Yeah, people are weird, and I make money off people being weird.
That's
so,
all right. Hey, whatever sells.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh Lord. Like where do you get most of your your leads from? Like are most people Licking County area, or do you kind of get them from surrounding counties as well?
Most of it's Licking County. A couple local farmers that, they have some bad luck with some things and they're like, hey, this died. Do you
Yeah.
want it? I'm like, yeah. Or they'll be like, hey, I shot this in my backyard. Do you want it? Yeah, I'll come get it. So
That is the nice part is you like a lot of that stuff you can get for free because
Yeah.
otherwise it's just either going to sit there or they're going to go throw it over
Yep.
the hill like
Yep.
or bury it or whatever.
Yep.
But it's usually, I mean, I can't tell you how many groundhogs out of my sister's property. You just shoot them and you toss them over the
hey,
hill.
if you ever do that,
I'll let you know.
I
He
haven't done a
shoots them all the
groundhog
time.
yet, so-
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised about because
I know.
people shoot those things all the time.
Yep. Yeah, so it's been some of them come from the slaughterhouses, which I'll pay them a little bit of money
Yeah.
because they're not going to do anything with it anyways. But so some of the interesting things have come from there, like the Cooney pigs, and
Yeah.
those are fun to do. But
I kind of wanted to go back into the podcast side of things too. Like, you guys decided to start it.
yeah.
And then what is it? Like, what do you guys talk about? Like you said, it's kind of just whatever, but like, what's the goal with it? Like, what are you guys trying to accomplish, I guess?
I guess we really wanted a different way to kind of engage members. So Jason used to do Facebook Lives and talk
Right.
about like how he was programming in the upcoming months and gym events that were coming up. And
Was it his idea or yours or kind of a collective?
it was kind of a collective, actually.
Okay.
We kind of think pretty similarly, which is scary sometimes. But I had told him, like, I think you should start doing the lives again. And then we kind of transferred into a conversation about a podcast. And he's like 90 when it comes to social media, technology, things. And he'll admit it. He used to try to run the Instagram and Facebook by himself. And that's where I kind of came into it. Like, dude, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's your background is a brick wall and you're writing the workout just on that. That's bad. Like, you're not going to get engagement from that. So
Well,
he's,
anymore, social media is the
Oh.
biggest tool.
yep.
Like,
So
I
he's
hate
been-
it just as much as a lot of people, but
Yeah.
it is a giant tool.
It is. I mean, when you're looking up a gym, people go to websites, but what you go to from the website is the social media. You want to see who the members are there, what kind of stuff they're doing. Do people look happy? Do they look dead on the floor all the time? Like, so
Yep.
he's kind of let me take the reins with things. And he's like, we can do this podcast. You can do whatever you want with it. We'll talk about whatever you want. So I just come up with topics. And
That's always fun, too.
yeah, last week I tested him to see if he could whistle, and we went into a whole conversation, and we ended up talking about sleep paralysis. So it was like from one end to the other. We've had a couple guests on, just because people work out in their one class and they don't usually go to different times. So our own members at the gym don't know everybody.
Okay.
So like we had somebody on that ran the whole living recovery program,
Okay.
and she talked about her background and what got her into that, and then now what that program does for Licking County and all the things that they're involved in and helping with. And we had on a member of our gym, she dealt with cystic fibrosis. She's still dealing with it, but they gave her a life expectancy of 18. And so what she's done now with that and this makeup brand that she has and all this stuff that she's done and involved with, and people just don't know about each
Exactly.
other. So it's been cool to see them all kind of watch one thing and get to know more people, and then they see those people at the gym and they can have a conversation
Yeah.
with them, and it's been cool to see that side of it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about the podcast is like, well, you learn stories and things about people.
Yeah.
Like that's what I always tell people. Like, my favorite part about it is every guest teaches me
Yeah.
something, whether it's something crazy useful or just like simple little tips
Yeah.
and tricks or whatever it is. It's just nice to see. You kind of sometimes get to see a different side of them.
I learned something about Michael. And he's my
Really?
best friend.
Yeah.
Like, so that was cool to like actually get to hear the whole in-depth story. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was, I was sitting there like, oh,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
heavy.
this is a tough one. And
Yeah.
I had camera issues like I'm having right now. It always happens. But that's why we got 3 cameras this time.
Right.
One of them's going to be picking up. I know this one's still running. So, but actually, yeah, I don't even care. I got another camera, so we're good. Yeah, it's just such a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And the one thing I'll say, I mean, you guys will probably have better numbers than me, but the big thing is just don't get discouraged by the numbers. It's kind of like social media. Don't look at how many likes you
Yeah.
have, because that, at the end of the day, doesn't matter. I always say, as long as one person laughs, got something useful out of it,
Yeah.
learned something, I'm good. That's
Yeah.
all I need.
And that has been really a rewarding thing for me on that side of
Yeah.
it, is to hear people, because they'll be like, oh, do you really do all of the social media? I'm like, yeah. They're like, you write all the captions, you take all the pictures, you post everything. I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, you do a really good job. I'm like, thank you. Because a lot
I like
goes
to feel
into it, so,
appreciated. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to run a social, especially for a business. I mean, and you're running multiple business
Yeah.
social medias,
Yeah.
plus your own. Like,
Oh my
that's
God,
the thing.
scariest thing is I'm always like, oh my God, what if I'm drunk one weekend and I'm on the wrong Instagram and I'm posting stories?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I always like, because I think 4 different Instagram accounts on my phone. So like,
And it's so easy to just click the bottom.
oh, I've
and you
been
cycle
liking
right through.
pictures or something one time, and then I look down, I'm like, oh, wrong one.
Whoopsies.
I mean, I thought this feed looked a little different than my normal feed, but yeah, you get distracted. You don't realize, especially when you have that many on
Yeah.
your phone. It's really easy to be like,
Yep.
oh, I'm on the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
But what has been like, because you didn't really, I mean, know social media. What was the challenging thing about that? Like, the making the graphics, making videos, captioning them. It's a long process to learn.
is.
It seems so simple
Yeah.
until you go to start doing it.
Yep. I guess it was really, when I look at like the Instagram page as a whole, what is going to draw me in, and like learning how to take pictures at the angles, like not the
Yeah.
back of somebody's head when they're lifting. That's not going to engage
Nobody
anybody.
cares about
yeah.
that.
Yeah. They want to see a face, and then it's trying to work with the people in the gym. Like, hey, I'm going to be here taking pictures. I'm not out here to get like the bad angles, and I'm not going to, make you look bad. But sometimes that's a real issue with people. They don't want to be photographed. So
Yeah.
then trying to learn like who has limits with that and who doesn't. And then the biggest thing for me is trying to get a good mix of everybody. That's been really hard, just because there's a 5 a.m. class, there's a noon class, and I work during those times. So
Yeah.
if I have a day off, I try to go in there so I can get pictures of those people, because I don't want to post just one demographic or one class, on the whole Instagram
Yeah.
feed. So it's been hard to try to bounce back and forth and get a good balance, or what I think is a good balance. I don't know if anybody else gives a shit, but I stress about it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, like with our pool business, I mean, there's only 3 of us, and we never have pictures of our finished jobs. Like, we're too busy working, and then at
Yep.
the end of the day, we're like, I'm going home. Like,
Yep.
I'm out of here. Let's go. So,
Yeah.
like, I mean, we have clients all the time. They're like, we don't even know what you guys have done because you guys don't post anything. And it's like 99% of our work comes from word of mouth anyway. Like, they
Yep.
go to our website. I finally did update our website this winter
Nice.
and was like, all right, we got to get actually our job pictures, like good
Yeah.
pictures. And I leave for vacation this Saturday. And then when I get back from vacation, the next 2 weekends, because July 4th is coming up. So everybody gets their pool nice and
Yep.
pretty for that. So I'm going to be texting a bunch of them going, hey, coming out to your house, taking pictures. You don't need to be there. I know how to do everything.
Yep.
We're good.
Nice.
But it is a struggle to like kind of find that balance of 1, 2, the algorithm, when to
Right.
post, what to
Yeah.
post, how often to post. There's so many factors that go into it. It's not like
Yeah.
you can just, I mean, you can, but if you want good growth, you can't just post
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
whenever.
And that has been hard to like learn what is going to attract the most people, but also what's going to encapsulate like what I do
Yeah.
the best. Because if I take pictures in my garage of skulls and it's terrible lighting, and that's where the finished products are, that's not going to get me anything. So I have to try to put them in different locations, because I don't want them to all have the same background. And during
Yeah.
deer season, it was a deer every day, and I'm like, if I post a deer every day, people are going to get real fucking bored of this
Yeah.
page. Like, and then I'd have people that would think it was their deer, and they'd see a deer on my post, and they'd be like, hey, mine's done, I saw it on your Instagram. I'm like, that's not yours. Like, way to know your own deer. But it's been challenging. And now it's hard with the skull shop I've been so busy that everything's kind of in the works. So I haven't been posting a whole lot. And I'm like, stressed about not reaching out to those people anymore. But like you said, a lot of it's word of mouth. I mean, these older hunters don't even know what Instagram is.
Exactly.
So when I hand out my business card and it has my Instagram on it, they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what's your telephone number?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Social media is just a fun, you never stop learning about it. There's always something new. Instagram comes up with some new thing that you can do. Facebook does the same thing. Like, it constantly is changing.
Yeah.
And it's just a never ending cycle that I don't think we'll ever fully understand. And I mean, look, we don't know when the next social media is going to come in, because we had TikTok. I kind of still have TikTok. I don't know what the whole thing is with that anymore.
I never get too big into TikTok. I
did in college. Like, it was like because Instagram didn't really have any good reels at the times, so I'd scroll. But then, like, after college, I kind of was like, Instagram's just like a waste of my time.
Yeah,
it's so easy to scroll like that. It's really easy to scroll on Instagram now. But like, Sierra would love TikTok, and then, like, when it got banned or whatever, I don't even know,
for like the 2 days.
Yeah. But then she had logged out and, like, couldn't get back in and stuff. So, and then I was like, just go to Instagram. It's the same thing. And she was like, this sucks. I was like, the algorithm will work its way in. Like, start liking what you like. That's the other scary thing is that. But yeah, there was something that I've honestly started using a little bit in terms of social media. I started kind of working with AI. I don't know if you've played with it at all.
I haven't much.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's weird. I haven't done a ton of, like, the social media stuff. My big thing is, like, if I have to send an email, work, or my business or anything, I'll copy it, paste it, and be like, make this sound better. Nice. And it, like, spits something out, and I'm like, wow, that is way better than what I wrote.
I have so many people at, like, some of these slaughterhouses I go to that they will post job postings. And they put them through. Yeah. Yep. I'm like, that's wild.
My buddy Dante that I do the podcast with a lot, he was the one that was like, dude, start using it. And he's like, we need to start using it on the podcast. We can't come up with the topic and, like, just put it in. And I was like, that's a good idea.
I recorded with Jason right before I came here, and we roasted each other with ChatGPT, which was hilarious. But then I was like, why don't we just start asking random off the wall topics, and we just have to fly with it, like, and
you can continue to ask it as many times as you want until you find something that you like.
He was like, that's great. I was like, that's gonna be our next one.
And that's the thing with your guys' podcast is you guys could go into so many different sectors of CrossFit community, anything inside of that.
A lot about prison too, so
well, it's reformed and
regulated.
So I mean,
he's got a lot of stories. I have stories from my time with my dad, so it's been a lot of back and forth, which is fun.
What's your favorite part about doing the podcast?
I guess having people come up to me that probably wouldn't have come up to me before and saying, hey, I really appreciate that you were vulnerable about this. Because I did an episode all about my life and my trauma, and I cried a lot. And I had a lot of people, even from my past life that I didn't even know listened to the podcast, reach out to me. You
find that out too.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I had people from work, and I'm like, ooh, like, that's kind of scary to think of who all listened to that. But it's been really nice too to feel like people are appreciative of what you've had to say, and you make them feel like they're not alone in something. Yeah, and that's been the coolest part, probably. That's
what me and Dante have tried to start being a little more vulnerable on the podcast. But, like, we have some stories, but there's a few that we're like, yeah, I'm not ready for that one yet. Like, there'll come a day where we'll get it out, but not yet. And it's just like some of those deep, but it is nice. It's rewarding almost to yourself, whether anybody says anything or not, because it's like getting it out.
It's like therapy. Like, you're really talking through your whole, you don't sit down and say this whole story many times, and you get a chance to do that. And then it's like a relief after. Oh,
there's been times where me and Dante have recorded, and I'm like, hey, thanks for my therapy session. Yeah. Needed that.
Yep. I totally get that. When I did that episode, it was a lot, and it was heavy, and I was so nervous, like, about my family hearing it. And then, I'm thinking about all this stuff. Well, then the people at the gym that I've been coaching for 3 years, they're like, we had no idea. I'm like, yeah, I guess my everyday life people
Yeah.
don't know, and it's kind of nice for them to know me on a different level now too. So
That's what I always try to say. Like, you don't know what somebody's going through.
Yeah.
Like, you might have some road rage with some guy on the interstate, but you don't know. Maybe his wife just died.
Right.
Like, you never
Yeah.
know. Like, I mean, that's a kind of bit of extreme, but like, you never know what some people are going.
Yeah.
Some people are just assholes. I
Yep.
mean, let's be
Yeah.
real.
Right.
But some people, they might have, their life could have completely changed like 2
Yeah.
seconds ago, and
Yep.
you just happened to be the guy that got the wrath.
Right.
Of it.
Yeah.
So.
Everybody has shit. So
Yeah. Oh, that's been said a few times on the podcast. Everybody has shit.
Yep.
I think it was Michael that said it.
it was,
Yeah.
which I hate that I just quoted him, but he's gonna be happy
Yeah,
about it.
he's not gonna let you live that one down.
Oh,
But
man.
I mean, are there any other things that you kind of wanted to go into with the skull shot? I mean, you got your hands in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Are there any things you like wanted to talk about that you thought, that maybe I skipped over, or that you'd want to expand on a little bit?
I feel like we covered a lot of different
Yeah.
things and areas, and I guess I tell people all the time, like people that have thought about doing their own business, like this was literally just something I wanted to do to hang something on my wall. So if
Yeah.
you like to do something, I encourage everybody, whether you're making money on it or not, just like the podcast stuff,
Yeah.
do it. Like you might as well do it and try it and not regret having not done it, because it's led me to things that I would have never imagined just
exactly.
from trying.
Yeah.
So it's been a cool experience, and I'm glad I've done it.
Yeah, I mean, just like the podcast, my business, it's the same thing. Like, first off, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, hey, do you think you'll have a photography business? Hey, do you think you'll have a podcast? I'd have been like, you're fucking nuts.
Right.
No chance in
Hey,
hell.
you think you're going to be boiling heads in the driveway?
Yeah.
No.
Like, that's not something that I do, but the opportunities that it creates, and whether you continue to do it or not, like what you do it for a month,
Right.
I always say try to push past, like,
Yeah.
at least 3 months, because then you kind of start to really get an idea whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
But it's just like, the things you learn, the people you meet, the opportunities that it'll create. I always tell people whether they want to start a podcast, and I'm like, first off, everybody does it now today. Yeah. Why the hell not?
Right.
What's the
Why
worst thing to
not?
happen? You get 6 episodes in and you hate it.
Right. But
And-
you tried.
Yeah.
And I feel like it makes you learn yourself more, like
Yes.
trying to go after these things. I thought I was busy before, and now that I have all this other stuff on my resume that I've added in the last 2 years, I'm like, wow, I didn't know what busy was. But
Yeah.
I've learned the time management skills. I've learned the people skills. I've learned to go further and further out of my comfort zone. And I'm very proud now of
Yeah.
who I am and what I'm doing and all this other stuff. So if I would have never tried, then I wouldn't have any of that.
Yeah, the podcast is one of the biggest things that's helped me with communication, just talking to people. Like, if my boss isn't on a job, I'm the one that's talking to clients, which I don't know if that's always a good thing, but I like, and I'm not afraid of it, because I'm like, I talk to random people all the time.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I know you, but like,
Right.
I talk to people that I've messaged on Instagram, and they have a cool story, and then all of a sudden they're either here or they're on my computer, and it's
Right.
like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, I've had some, higher level people of like Granger Smith's tour manager and stuff like that. Like, back in the beginning, and it's like, I remember sitting there before the episode, like, all right, this is happening. This
Right.
is happening. Like, I don't know how I'm going to react with
Yeah.
this. I get nervous before every podcast. It never fails.
Well, that's like I, just did the one before I came here, and then I got here. I'm like, oh my God, what do I say? Like,
Yeah.
what do I talk about? Are my thoughts going to be in a straight line? Am I going to be bouncing like a ping pong ball? Like,
Oh,
I
no,
don't know.
I'm the one that forgets the thoughts, apparently. I just like start going on a
Hey,
tangent.
that makes me feel better. So
That's why I do it. Nothing's cut. Nothing's
Yeah.
cut up. It's all. It is how it is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna run with it, because there's no point in making it perfect.
Right.
People don't want perfect.
no, they don't want to be put in a little box.
Yeah.
They want to be able to go wherever it takes them.
But I do have one final question that I like to ask all of my guests, and I have a feeling you know it's coming.
I do, and I've been stressing about it for weeks.
See, I don't tell people, but they know, because they've listened long enough.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and tell your 16-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
It's hard, and I've been thinking about it so much, because I feel like there's so much that I could tell my 16-year-old self. That was a bad time. So
I feel like it's the same for most people.
yeah, it was heavy. It was like, not just regular 16-year-old
Yeah.
stuff. It was your dad's going to prison, you're losing your home, you're doing all this, unknown stuff. So I think from that time it was hard in general, but I would tell myself that nothing is permanent. So even the good things, like try to find the little things to enjoy and appreciate in the good times. And in the really, really bad times, those times aren't going to last either. So you're going to get through it. There's going to be a tomorrow, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
That's something that's, as a 16-year-old, you don't want to ever hear it because you don't believe it.
Right.
But because you always, especially at 16, you think the world's ending now and there's
What's
no coming
happening
back.
to you is the worst thing ever, and it's never going to get better.
But it's a little easier as we start to get older.
Yeah.
It's still not perfect, but it gets a little easier to understand that. And it's sometimes just taking that deep breath and being like, it will pass.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
Been through a lot of other hard things, and you got through all of those so far. So this one's not going to be any different.
But the hard things are what make you who you are. I always say it's one of my favorite sayings on this podcast. You will learn more from your failures than you ever will your successes.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, I realized that kind of in college a little bit with film study and with football and everything. It's like, how come you only show the bad plays? Because the good plays, you didn't learn anything.
Yep.
You did what you were supposed to do.
Yep.
You know what you're supposed to do, so do that.
Yep.
All right. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. Here, fix it.
Right. Yep.
So, and that's the big thing too. It's like understanding that it's not a failure. It's just a setback, or it's it can be a failure if you let it be a failure.
Right.
That's the big. I mean, it's the same in CrossFit. If you fail at a lift, if you fail at whatever movement you're trying to do,
and you never try it again, then you're
you
never
will
going
never
to get
get
any better.
it. Yeah. I mean, there's how many times have you had where you're like, there's no way I'm going to get this.
A lot of times.
But I mean, it's also trying to come in with that mentality of, I might not get this, but I'm going to give it everything I have.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to try my hardest to get this.
And if I don't, then I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to,
It's the same with starting a business. It's the same in a lot of aspects of life.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but Mariah, where can people find you, your skull shop, your podcast, everything? Where can they find it? I'll put all the links to it, but what is everything called, and where's the best place to contact or reach out for it?
Let's see. Skull Shop, mainly Instagram. So it's the Skull Shop LLC. That's where I have all my contact for that, or my personal one at Cherubini on Instagram. The gym stuff, if you ever are interested in anything, it's Uprising Athletics. So I run all those messages too. So if you have any questions, shoot me a message. So yeah, it's across all those platforms. We're on YouTube and Spotify for the podcast.
Need to get on Apple.
Regulated. I know. I'm going to work on that.
I'll give you a few things that you can look at tonight,
Yes,
and
I would
then
appreciate
you
it.
can see. You don't have to use them, but I always like to try and help
will.
out. But I appreciate you coming on the
thanks for
podcast.
having
We'll
me on.
definitely
That
do
was
it
fun.
again. Maybe I'll have to come, or you have to send me a video or something when you do a skull.
Oh my
and
gosh, yes.
So I want to get that. Maybe I would like to get one maybe on the video. So if you have any videos of you doing any of it, I
Absolutely.
want to put it on there because people will probably be like, Jesus Christ.
Yep, I will do that.
But that's all we got for today's episode. Like we kind of mentioned, July 26th, Roughnecks Volleyball Tournament, 3rd annual. Like I said, all the proceeds going to a nonprofit organization. I'm not taking anything from it. Not that I really ever took anything from it, but I usually I was really bad at where the money went. I was just like, I think I made money. I don't know. We're good. But we will have Low Gap playing again. They played the very first year, so they will be back playing music for us. Sign-ups will be coming soon. I don't know the exact date. It's the end of June, I believe, is when sign-ups open. But other than that, that's all we got for today. Until next time, you guys know the deal. Life is hard and is going to knock you down just like a bull does to a bull rider. Don't let that bull of life walk all over you. Get up, grab the bull by the horns, and take control of your life. Roughnecks, out.